all of you. It is a pleasure to be amongst all of you who are not only experts, professionals, psychologists, and also yoga specialists, indigenous medical experts, and so on. Amongst these, to talk about the positive psychology for which I have come today is indeed a great honor for me. I thank the organizers, particularly Professor Nathawat. In fact, when he started this program, he just rang me up one day and said, "Madam, I am organizing this program and I would like you to give a keynote paper." I said, "Fine, I'll do that," because I cannot say no to Nathawat, and he is very well known to me for many, many years, and we have been colleagues in the field of psychology. And it has been a great pleasure to work with him also. And I am glad that he had organized this whole conference in such an effective and efficient manner, which is indeed a great honor for me to be present here. I will not take much time. Now I am going to talk to you about positive psychology, and I am going to relate how in our own, I am not presenting anything on the projector, because it is not, I thought it is not worth it really. I thought, let me interact with you, talk to you, and tell you what I think about our own indigenous system, how many things we have about positive psychology which we could all make use of rather than all the time depending upon the Western psychology and Western concepts. Positive psychology is the scientific study of the strengths and virtues that enable individuals and communities to thrive. This all of us know. This field is founded on the belief that people want to lead meaningful and fulfilling lives, to cultivate what is best within themselves, and to enhance their experiences of love, work, and play. Positive psychology has basically three central concerns. Number one is positive emotions, second, positive individual traits, and three, positive institutions. Understanding positive emotions entails a study of contentment with the past, happiness in the present, and hope for the future. Sir, good afternoon to you.
I have just read because of your lecture.
Thank you, sir. Happiness comes from contentment, not consumerism, and false forced smiles in some seminar on how to be happier. We live in reality, and that is where we have to cope and deal with life's problems. While mainstream academic psychology relies primarily on physicalist point of view and reality, the vast majority of Indian thinkers take consciousness rather than matter as the basis of reality. As we are in reality, the more ancient Vedanta of the Upanishads of Indian philosophy, we find the ultimate reality, that is Brahman, described in terms that are spiritual. The existence or substance, Sat Chidananda, which all of you are quite familiar with this name. The existence or substance that constitutes the world, that is Sat, a consciousness that contains the world, that is Chit, an infinite bliss that expresses and experiences itself in the world, Ananda. If psychology and in general therapy has taught us one thing, it is that a better understanding of both the positive and the negative aspects of human behavior can lead us to a concept of self-understanding and a basis for living and coping with the real world of everyday problems. In fact, Eric Berne, the American, understood more than any other psychologist the meaning of true happiness. And he said, understand yourself, understand other people, and what drives them to be what they are. If you know this and you can understand them, you can be yourself happy. And when we talk about positive psychology, we talk about noting the positive, which is again a very important aspect of positive psychology. The main thing is to teach people to put more positive experiences in their day, to appreciate and notice these experiences. Positive therapy is about working on your strengths, and there are no shortcuts. Psychologists in the field believe positive therapy has far-ranging uses, including helping people who may not need treatment in the traditional sense. For people who do not have a diagnosis of a mental disorder, the sessions are often considered coaching. In fact, positive psychology has a very great impact on the job too. American Red Cross is utilizing positive psychology techniques. You will be surprised to know how they encourage people who have faced disasters to focus on how they survived as opposed to just going over the trauma that occurred. We are reinforcing the coping skills rather than the horror of the experience. Now we come to the Buddhist perspective, because when we talk about Indian psychology, Indian things, Buddhism is very much part of us. From a Buddhist perspective, the Buddhist practitioners in the great monastic universities of India, Tibet, Mongolia, Bhutan and other Buddhist nations have been systematically studying positive psychology. And perhaps the most significant and practical psychological finding is the most powerful way of becoming happy in developing compassion. This compassion again is at varying degrees, from mild feelings of concern for others to overwhelmingly powerful and expansive feelings of connection, warmth and caring energy. We all recognize how powerful feelings of hatred or terror or greed can be very powerful, leading to terrible results in the external world. But we don't say the same thing about positive feelings. We rarely seem to recall how positive emotions can be equally powerful. The method of positive psychotherapy belongs to the humanistic, transcultural and psychodynamic psychotherapeutic methods. It is based on positive image of man. Illness and disorders are interpreted in a new and positive way. And through the use of stories, anecdotes and examples from other cultures, the patient is encouraged to play a more active role in his own healing process. Studies in the West on psychology of consciousness, parapsychology, psychology of religion, and transpersonal psychology in the last few decades borrow a lot of ideas from our Indian psychology. The terms Oriental psychology, Buddhist psychology, yoga psychology, Jaina psychology are found in modern psychological literature. Eastern mystical traditions can be considered as psychotherapies in disguise. Some find parallel between Gita Nishkama Karma, which they consider as meta motivation of Maslow, and the four motives were taken as Kama, Artha, Dharma and Moksha, which were taken to resemble Maslow's hierarchy of needs, about which all of you are quite well aware of. Indian philosophy and Indian psychology share a framework and believe that the human has enormous potential hidden in its being. Indian psychology has an endless array of techniques to raise human consciousness. In fact, in the Western concept, the sense of self is rooted in the mind. Western psychology revolves around looking at the mind from the mind. However, one cannot just change the system from within the system. In Indian psychology, we are aware that we are not the mind. We are the sky of awareness, that is Nitya. And the mind's contents, reactions, emotions, beliefs and thoughts are like passing clouds with no real awareness or permanent. For mind management, yoga prescribes specific techniques. I think we had presentation of yoga in a few minutes ago. The specific techniques and approaches to handle the emotions that trouble us. One of the techniques is the practice of Pratipaksha Bhavana, that is to take the opposite view. To give an example to you, if you dislike a person and if you see his positive qualities, you may feel more friendly towards that person. 6 values have been prescribed: Dhamma, Sama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha and Samadhanam. Dhamma refers to the emotions. Now I am telling you everything that is coming from the Indian psychology point of view, where we talk so much about Western psychotherapy, but here we find Dhamma refers to the emotions that one is not able to control, but states that these emotions must not be allowed to affect one's behavior. Sama refers to process of mastering the emotions and thereby mastering the mind. Uparati refers to cultivating a sense of inner tranquility and poise through the practice of karma yoga or sannyasa. Titiksha is the ability to bear with the problems of life like a traffic jam or the electricity failing. The ability to bear with small hurdles of life prepares the person to cope with the larger problems. Shraddha refers to the acceptance of God's existence, which is necessary for mental health. Samadhanam is the way in which one cultivates forbearance with respect to people. Dharma, this all of you know very well, is a concept which facilitates mental health. The aim of dharma is freedom from conflict. When a person's desires are in opposition to the universal law, there is conflict which tears the person between the desired object and universal law. Dharma means doing what is right consciously, even if it is against one's likes and dislikes. After this, the right action becomes a habit. This theory, which is unique to Indian thought, refers to the acceptance of every turn of event as a gift from the Lord. The progressive thinkers may not believe in this, but large number of persons going through difficult period have been helped by their belief in this. Buddhist psychology, yoga psychology, and Jaina psychology thus provide the positive feelings and blissful and peaceful state of mind. Such a mind can prevent mental disorders apart from curing the same. In a way, the Eastern mystical traditions, as I told you earlier, were psychotherapies in disguise. Some found parallels between the Gita's Nishkama Karma, which I told you, and Maslow's, and the four motives were taken as Kama, Artha, Dharma and Moksha. However, most Indian psychologists are of the view that Indian psychology is holistic, whereas Western psychology is diagnostic and fragmentary. Indian psychology goes to the roots of one's existence, where the individual loses his identity, but in Western psychology, the I is always present. In India, unlike in the West, normal is the ideal and the perfect. Dharma is a concept which facilitates mental health in a positive way. The aim of Dharma is freedom from conflict. Dharma means doing what is right consciously, even if it is against one's likes and dislikes. After this, the right action becomes a habit. Emerging from positive psychology is positive psychotherapy, about which today morning we had the session, which believes in every human being is an entity of body, mind, emotions, and spirit. The aim of therapeutic process is to help the client develop his inborn capabilities and find the balance in his daily life. Positive therapy is about working on one's strengths, and there are no shortcuts, as I told you. The Indian psychology has these aspects ingrained into the system, and hence to adopt positive psychology to the Indian system of therapies is perhaps far easier and must be tried out so that people live a healthy, positive life, thereby preventing mental illness.